787 Wright Court in Hartford, Wisconsin. Again, 787 Wright, that's with a W-R-I-G-H-T Court. Buy it, build it, call Jackie, 262-628-9091. Build bold with Miracle, a Christian-based company.
Get your rock-solid guaranteed pre-approval to buy at accunet.com.
Pacific Coast Highway.
Spinning through three defenders and lays it in with a foul. The whirling dervish that is the Greek Freak.
The Bucks travel down the Pacific Coast Highway to L.A. Our coverage for Bucks Lakers starts tonight at 8:30. We are your home for the Bucks. News Radio 620, WTMJ, Milwaukee.
Morning, 9:01. We have cloudy skies, 41 degrees, rainy and breezy today with a high of 43. From the WTMJ Breaking News Center, I'm Connie Weber. Donald Trump gave a blistering response to President Biden's State of the Union speech. Trump kept up a steady flow of responses on social media throughout the night, calling the speech angry, polarizing, and hate-filled, and claimed it was the least compassionate, worst State of the Union ever made. He criticized Biden's choices at the border and his handling of the war in Ukraine, saying Biden gave Putin Ukraine. Biden opened his speech warning of the threats to democracy, both at home and abroad, citing the war in Ukraine and the January 6th riots, and said the State of the Union is strong and getting stronger. Today, new numbers on jobs from the federal government.
Once again, the nation's jobs numbers are better than expected. The Bureau of Labor Statistics says 275,000 jobs were added in February, higher than analysts predicted, with the unemployment rate at 3.9%. Healthcare, government, food services, bars and restaurants, social assistance, transportation and warehousing all saw the biggest growth. Wages are also up by 0.1% in February and 4.3% over the year. But analysts warn too much wage growth too fast could trigger future inflation. Derek Dennis, ABC News.
U.S. Senator Ron Johnson of Wisconsin remains adamant he did not know he was trying to deliver fake elector packets to Vice President Mike Pence ahead of the certification of the 2020 election. This despite text messages released this week between Senator Johnson and then Trump campaign attorney Jim Trupus, showing Johnson was explicitly told the documents were about the electors. Thursday, Johnson said he connected Trupus with his chief of staff but maintained his ignorance about the fake electors. Chilling new details on the treatment of 3-year-old Elijah Vu of Two Rivers just before his February 20th disappearance.
Text conversations between Vu's mother Katrina Bauer and her boyfriend Jesse Vang show Vang wanted to make Vu hate being in his presence. Also, a deleted photo found on Bauer's phone taken 7 days before Vu's disappearance showed the child lying on a bed with a blindfold on and bruises. In court Thursday, Vu's grandmother reading a letter asking a judge not to reduce her daughter's bond.
Katrina faked a forced abduction and had missing person reports filed in California.
Adam Roberts, WTMJ News.
We now know more about how a former inmate allegedly stabbed a jail guard on Tuesday.
Criminal complaint says 41-year-old Ronell Hart stabbed the officer as the officer exited a parking structure early Tuesday morning. The guard saw Hart and asked him what he was doing in the structure. Hart then allegedly stabbed him 4 times in the neck, shoulder, back, and chest. The officer escaped and stumbled into the jail lobby across the street where medics were called. The guard suffered a punctured lung but is expected to survive. Hart fled but was captured and faces up to 60 years in prison if convicted. John Merkier, WTMJ News.
Time for news about your money in the WTMJ Annex Wealth Management Market Update. The Dow is up 168 points, 38,959. S&P 500 is up 28, and the Nasdaq is up 130. It's a great time for your retirement and investment strategy review from a fee-only fiduciary. Go to annexwealth.com and click the Get Started button now. Sports, traffic, and weather are next. Citing Unlimited, WTMJ News Time, 9:04.
This report is sponsored by Diamonds Direct. Your love, their passion.
What's wrong with Rick? He's kind of spacey today.
That's Rick's identical twin, Scott. He's not used to answering to Rick.
What's going on?
Rick asked me to keep it secret, but he asked his twin to cover his shift so he could go to Diamonds Direct to shop.
But this is a jewelry store.
Yeah, I know, but the prices and selection are so much better at Diamonds Direct. Rick doesn't want the boss to get suspicious, so Scott's here in case the boss sees Rick at Diamonds Direct.
But that would mean that the boss is at Diamonds Direct too?
Yeah, we have a lot of secrets.
You never know who you'll run into at Diamonds Direct. With unbeatable direct importer prices, the highest quality diamonds, the most sought-after designer rings, the best customer service, the strongest guarantees in the industry. It's just a no-brainer.
You think if Scott had a mustache, would he look like me?
No.
Go where everyone else goes. Diamonds Direct. Your love, our passion.
Well, what if I shaved?
Still no.
For store hours, directions, and more, go to DiamondsDirect.com.
Uline is here for the hard workers. For the ones rolling up their sleeves, working round the clock, and getting the job done. You're dedicated to doing what it takes to keep a business growing. Uline is dedicated to helping you make that happen. Working 7 days a week, staying fully stocked and ready to ship any of our 41,000 items the same day. Uline, your shipping and industrial supply specialists. Visit uline.com.
It's David Nason, your personal inspection pro from WTMJ's The Fix-It Show. I'm with my go-to basement repair guy, Chris Mancuso of Accurate Basement Repair. This is the team I personally recommend for leaky or cracked basements.
Wow, thanks, David. Our team at Accurate Basement Repair has been fixing leaky and cracked basements for the Fix-It listeners for over 20 years.
That's great, Chris. For more information about how to schedule a free inspection and estimate, check out AccurateBasementRepair.com because they're not just good, they're accurate.
Time for a WTMJ sports update from the Gruber Law Office's One Call That's All sports desk. Bucks are back on the court tonight against the Lakers in Los Angeles. Milwaukee started the West Coast road trip with a blowout loss to the Warriors. Milwaukee slipped to 41-22, but still leads the Central Division. Coverage starts tonight at 8:30. Wisconsin 19-11 on the college basketball season after a 78-66 win over Rutgers. Badgers close out the regular season at number 3 Purdue on Sunday afternoon. Milwaukee Panthers crushed Green Bay 95-84 in the quarterfinal round of the Horizon League tournament. Milwaukee advances to the semifinals Monday night, and the number 9 Marquette 22-8 finishes the regular season at Xavier tomorrow night. Brewers beat the White Sox 8-2 in spring training action in Phoenix. Milwaukee's now 5-7 in exhibition play, faces the Athletics in split squad games this afternoon and tonight. Coverage today starts at 2 p.m. right here on WTMJ. Taking a look at the roads now with your WTMJ Johnson & Sons paving time saver traffic. I-41-94 south at Rawson Avenue. Left shoulder blocked due to an incident there. No other major delays to report this morning.
Traffic is sponsored by Hall Mazda Milwaukee. Visit hallmazdamilwaukee.com.
Be our eyes on the roads. Report accidents, slowdowns, and road conditions to the WTMJ Hall Mazda traffic tip line at 414-238-9329.
Here's your Storm Team 4 5-day forecast. Rainy, breezy today, 43 for the high, but the rain should end tonight. It'll be breezy tonight with a low of 34. Partly to mostly cloudy tomorrow, maybe some flurries in the afternoon, high 42. Sunny, windy on Sunday, high 46. Warmer on Monday, up to 56. And then Tuesday, partly cloudy with a high of 62. Madison at 42. Green Bay 40. Milwaukee 41. I'm Connie Weber, Sighting Unlimited, WTMJ News Time, 9:08.
Good morning, Wisconsin. So let's pour that coffee and talk to some experts about what's going on in Milwaukee, Madison, Washington, and beyond. Broadcasting live from the Annex Wealth Management Studios at the Avenue in beautiful downtown Milwaukee. It's the Political Power Hour on WTMJ. Here's your host, Steve Scaffidi.
Should we talk about the government?
Happy Friday, everybody. Yes, it's Steve Scaffidi. I am the host, they say. I say. Joseph Pecking is normal chair, Democratic strategist, and filling in for Bill McCutcheon, who's on assignment somewhere in the United States. Don't know where. I kind of do, but I'm not going to talk about it. Tracy Johnson. That's the whole introduction. Tracy Johnson.
Great to be here.
You want more than that?
No. No.
So did you both, this is the first question, you watched State of the Union last night? Both of you?
Of course.
I did.
We have to prep for the Power Hour.
Absolutely.
Come on.
I gave you homework.
Yeah.
Why do we still do this? I'll start with you, Joe. Why do we still do this? Why don't you just send it in? Send us a text.
It's theater. There are very few political theater moments left. Most of it is bite-sized snippets on the internet. The politics of performance comes in these micro-sized bites, which I think we can all agree, like especially the social media of it, is not necessarily helping our politics. It is the last sort of big stage, big speech, with the exception, I would say, of like presidential debates, which are at risk of going the way of the dodo bird, and convention speeches by major party nominees. The State of the Union is kind of the only other time where tens of millions of Americans tune in to hear directly from the President of the United States. Is it old and outdated and get a little boring? Yes, but where I would start today is I don't think this was your ordinary State of the Union because of the bad run of press that Joe Biden has been getting in the wake of the Her report. I think a lot of people, especially on the right, were assuming, if they haven't been watching Joe Biden, that this guy is drooling in his soup. And clearly he is not. He came to play last night and had an energetic hour-plus long speech on home turf. That guy loves being inside the Capitol building. They literally turned the lights off on him before he got out of there.
He likes to spar a little bit, which I appreciated. That part I did like. He was very energetic. That's exactly the right word, Tracy. What was your takeaway?
Well, certainly he knows his audience, and it was kind of interesting to see because it was 15 minutes behind schedule. It was interesting.
What
to
is
see.
that about? I know when it starts.
Well, I think I heard that there were some protesters outside, some pro-Palestinian protesters that may have gotten in the way and stalled things out. But, I mean, this was really a campaign speech for him, right? I mean, he is the nominee on the Democratic side of the ticket, and this was his opportunity to really hit on every single thing. I mean, he was talking about everything. I mean, it was like Oprah Winfrey up there, right? Free car for you and tax break for you and free medicine for you. I mean, that was a little crazy. I found it very expectedly so divisive. I sit on the other side of Joe Biden's camp, and he did not speak to me one bit. And I think you saw that in last night's speech, that he was really speaking to his base.
How about as a mom? You're a mom of two boys. How about just take the politics out of it? As a mom, anything he talk about register with you? You said you don't identify with him, but like anything capture your attention? Well,
and I've been asked this before. What is the main issue for me? And first and foremost, I am not a single issue voter. I am not a voter on the issue of abortion. I wish that was not an issue we were talking about today, but it will be the top issue for the Democrat ticket. You know, I am concerned about immigration. I am concerned about crime. But first and foremost, it's the divide. I found this so divisive, and the spirit of the country is so divided. And I found that the speech continued to divide and just really pointed out all of our differences. It wasn't about coming together. It was really, I think, very divisive. And that's what concerns me as I look around in my neighborhood, in my city, in my state, that it just feels very divided.
Can you be a president at this time, or a candidate for president in the case of former President Donald Trump, and not be a divider? Because I don't see a lot of unity going on or peacemaking.
No, negative partisanship and political polarization are very real. They are the realities of our political moment. What I was struck by were a couple things. Quoting Ronald Reagan. The parties have switched places when it comes to confronting Vladimir Putin and a Russian or Soviet menace. One of the things I was reminded was Joe Biden's pretty good at politics. You know, Marjorie Taylor Greene thinks she has him and hands him a button with the name Laken Riley on it. Oh. And rather than avoid it and acknowledge it, he says her name. That's what people on the right have been asking for. He says her name. He expresses his deep condolences to her parents and reminds people that he too has lost children and he knows what that heartbreak is like. And so, you know, those were the moments where I think he maybe didn't speak to you, but he told folks like myself and folks in the middle that he was trying and he's willing to try, which I think is very different than what you hear from, for example, former President Trump, who says, if you vote for Nikki Haley, I don't want you in my party.
Next week on the Decision Wisconsin podcast, I'm going to talk to 3 younger people, 20s and 30s, independents. And I'm going to ask them this question. Did you watch the State of the Union? If they say no, that tells me something. If they did, what in that speech speaks to someone that's not in my age group or either of yours? What would that thing be?
To me, it was the optimistic vision of America. Talking about the possibility of this country. Time after time, there's a caricature that the right likes to paint where Democrats think that its government is in control of everything and that the government is what makes the country great. Joe Biden said time after time, the American people are leading the American comeback. And, that every new business that starts is an act of hope. That is speaking to Americans where they are in a way that doesn't match the caricature that the right passes.
See, I saw it as very... he went after the idea of capitalism, and I felt like he was very out of touch and very out of tune with what's really happening in the economy.
How so?
He talked a lot about government programs. Government is here to save the day. I mean, that is not what America is about. The tax cuts, the Trump-Ryan tax cuts will expire in 2025. And I think people really need to understand what the impacts will be. He talked about taxing corporations, taxing businesses, taxing the wealthy.
Billionaires.
Well, I mean, he talked about people making over $400,000. Small business owners are right in that sweet spot. I mean, what happens when you tax small businesses more is they hire fewer people. And I think he's saying all the things about the numbers being good and people are going back to work. But we all know here that we have less money in our pockets, and it's more and more difficult each and every day to afford everyday necessities.
She's Tracy Johnson, Joe Zepecki on the other side of the aisle. We're going to talk politics for the entire hour because it is the Political Power Hour Friday edition. Take a quick break here. Back with Tracy and Joe after this.
I know you've seen the headlines about debt. Everyone's got it seems like. You, me, the government. And as debt grows, what does it mean for our individual bottom line? Join me, John Mercure, and Annex Wealth Management President and CEO Dave Spano as we answer the hard-hitting questions about debt and provide some insight to help ease your concerns in this free webinar. It's March 12th. It's free on March 12th. It's easy to register. Text WEB to the WTMJ Talk and Text line, 855-616-1620. Text the word WEB.
Hey, it's WTMJ Steve Scaffidi for Avon. I had snoring issues. I've told you about it. Tossing and turning. That is no way to spend your night, especially if you're trying to sleep and do a job the next day. I went to Avon. I did something about it. 30-minute visit. We rolled in a really simple sleep study at home in my own bed, which is a lot easier to do, trust me. And they determined the root cause of my problem, sinuses and nasal passages. Wasn't getting enough air, and that's a problem when you're trying to sleep. After a short procedure done in office, I'm back to breathing well, sleeping along with my wife, Kathy, through the whole night. 7.5 hours, yes. I went to bed right after the State of the Union, slept all the way into the morning, uninterrupted. That could be you. If you struggle like we did, take the time to see your Advent can help you to find out how breathing well and sleeping well can make your nights better. Go to AdventKnows.com. Schedule an appointment today because Advent knows when you breathe well, you live better.
Spas. The Swim Spa Hot Tub and Sauna Show is this weekend only at the Wisconsin State Fair Cream Puff Pavilion. Millions of inventory must be sold. Prices are slashed up to 60% off retail, so save thousands. Save big on new hot tub spas and saunas. Plus, see the Michael Phelps Signature Swim Spas by Master Spas.
Hi, I'm Michael Phelps. Join the swimming revolution.
The Swim Spa Hot Tub and Sauna Show this weekend only at the Wisconsin State Fair Park Cream Puff Pavilion. Visit 800spasale.com.
All right, Political Power Hour on this Friday. Regular guy, Joe Zepecki.
Sure, let's go with that.
Filling in for Bill McCoshen, the one, the only Tracy Johnson, who, breaking news, will be filling in for me when I'm off in Europe in April.
All right.
Every day for about a week and a half. Are you looking forward to that?
Of course. I love the guests that you bring in, and I love asking questions. I'm a very curious person.
So for all the Tracy Johnson fans out there, I know they're out there because I see the text. You will be filling, I think it's the 10th through the 20th on the weekdays in that period. All right. So I mentioned before the break, Tracy alluded to it, the tax question, right? The president is talking about, getting people to pay their taxes. One of the ideas, I don't know if he said it last night, but it was certainly something talked about in the run-up. Billionaire tax. Is that a real thing? 25% tax on billionaires. Just throwing that out there. What would it generate? I have no idea. Is it actually a real concept?
Well, he gave the number of what it would generate.
Yeah, I don't remember what it was.
Sizable.
Hundreds of billions of dollars, probably.
Yeah. Okay. It's not $1 trillion.
Maybe.
One of the things I thought was interesting about the president's tone on the economy was that one of the divides in our politics is Donald Trump a populist? I don't think so, but there's certainly like that feeling, and he sort of portrays himself as one. I thought Joe Biden really sort of grabbed the mantle of populist economic policy last night, not just with saying, if you make up to $400,000, your taxes won't go up, but the super wealthy have to pay their fair share, by saying we're going to crack down on corporations who are nickel and diming you and putting fewer chips in the bag. We're going after big credit card companies for junk fees. Those are actually traditionally populist economic policies, and I thought it was very smart politically of him to sort of get ahead of that before Trump is really out there talking about his economic plan.
Yeah, I did like what he said about the bottom up and middle out in terms of trying to make sure we're talking to the middle class. It's just how do how do those get actualized? I mean, if you're giving all of these credits and all of these give backs and you're putting all this money into the economy, it didn't really speak to economic policy. And I think rolling back those tax cuts in 2025, you really need to think about what the broader implication is. Anytime you put more boundaries around business, they will react. They will lean more into automation. They are going to hire fewer workers. And ultimately, all of those costs are going to be passed down to the people like you and me in the middle class.
The president said last night, trickle-down economics doesn't work.
Here's what is working. Listen, it is just a fact that yesterday the stock market closed at a record high. Today we got another month's worth of job numbers, 275,000 jobs created. For 2 straight years, unemployment has been below 4%. That is unprecedented in the last 50 years of this country. That's a good economy. I understand that people are still feeling that it doesn't match those numbers, but we are starting to see the perceptions shift.
Is there a reality disconnect between what the economy is actually doing and what the public perception is?
Yes.
I would argue there is.
100%. And I wish there was a way that he would have addressed that. People's credit card debt is higher than it's ever been before. People don't have $400 in their pockets. And so how do you address that? And I think that was really missing there. And again, that's why it spoke over my head. None of this really applied to me.
But your comments illustrate the problem. You're looking at some of the positive numbers. I've posted some of this stuff. There's some really good, strong economic indicators. But then in the pocketbook stuff, which is kind of leads into my next conversation about Katie Britt, the senator who did the response, kitchen table stuff, a lot of people saying, we got pain here.
Well, and just, one more point on this is that, Stephen Moore, a leading economist for President Trump, is on Fox News last night saying, President Biden is correct. The American economy is the envy of the world. This is not happening in a vacuum. Inflation is coming down. It is still too high. The president acknowledges that. But when you look at the other countries that make up the G8, it's 6, 7, 8, 9% still 3 years after the pandemic. 4 years next week. And so that context matters, but it matters more for our politics if the American people feel that. And I'm here to stipulate, people are not feeling as good about the economy as the numbers, the sort of raw macroeconomic data suggests that they ought to. That's a thing I know we'll be watching between now and November.
I also wonder, we talk about the stock market and we talk about all of that. Yes, I can relate to that because as a middle class voter, I have interest in that. That makes sense to me. But there are people across the country who are literally don't have an interest in the stock market. And so speaking to those rural voters, I think that's where someone like a Donald Trump or somebody that's not Joe Biden can really have an opportunity to grasp on and have a salient point.
Let's take a break here. I want to ask you the border stuff, immigration. That was one of the areas where the president actually actively sparred with the members in Congress during the address last night. We'll get your thoughts on what he said and a whole lot more with our guests, Joseph Hecky, Tracy Johnson, Political Power Hour Friday edition, right here in WTMJ.
Be our eyes on the road. See something out there that I should know about?
Hi there. I was calling to report a traffic accident for your traffic reporter, Debbie Lazica.
Call me, Debbie Lazica, at the HallMazda.com traffic tip line at 414-238-9329.
Hi, Debbie. It's Michael. Eastbound 894, and there's the fender bender, and these guys are blocking the right lane.
The drive affects you. Why not be part of it? Give me a call, 414-238-9329.
Hey, it's WTMJ. Steve Scaffidi for the Bath Authority. If your bath or shower is old, outdated, mold, or mildew, you don't want that. Broken tiles? No. You got to call my friends at the Bath Authority. The Bath Authority provides the highest quality bathroom remodeling products along with a best-in-class, world-class customer experience. Modern, durable tubs and showers designed with an exclusive high-tech polymer liner. What that means? Low maintenance, resistance to that mold and mildew, easy to clean, who doesn't love that, and lasts for decades. You're their priority at the Bath Authority. TheBathAuthority.com. One more time, BathAuthority.com. Don't wait. A better bath awaits.
From the biggest plays on the court to the comments made in the locker room after, an in-depth recap of every Bucks game in 6 minutes. No more, no less. Bucks in 6 provides game recaps for every game. Hear the high-flying dunks from Giannis.
Puts it on the floor, spins down the lane, and plunges it through.
Or the deep threes from Dame.
Dame time has arrived with 107.
Bucks in 6 on the Bucks Plus audio network. Find it now on bucks.com/plus or on Spotify, Apple, and wherever you get your podcasts.
Vince Vitrano for Absolute Comfort, HVAC and Electrical, joined by Nicole, who along with her husband Brent owns the company. Nicole, why is now a good time to have you out looking at my air conditioner?
Because we want you to get to know us before you have an HVAC or electrical emergency. We will provide maintenance to your AC system so it's ready to operate efficiently on those warm spring days and hot summer nights.
And they are coming. Absolute Comfort, HVAC and Electrical, 262-664-9284, AbsoluteComfortWI.com.
Panic strikes as you realize on Wednesday that Thursday is your anniversary. The reservations being secured.
We'll see you at 8.
The gift being purchased. Yeah, you've got this. Just like Associated Bank's got you with early pay up to 2 days early on direct deposits. So even though they call you Last Minute Lisa, we'll make your last minute scrambling a bit easier. You've got this with early pay from Associated Bank. See associatedbank.com/checking or ask a banker for details. Member FDIC.
Sandy Max here to tell you about an exciting time at Three Pillars Senior Living Communities. Their new independent living community will soon break ground, and you're invited to learn all about it. Join Three Pillars at Wisconsin Brewing Company Park in Economawalk from 1 to 3 p.m. on March 19 for a tailgate party. You'll enjoy beverages, brats, and burgers, and learn about the expansion of the top-rated senior community in Wisconsin. RSVP today online at threepillars.org or call 262-965-3494. That's 262-965-3494.
Political Power Hour Friday edition. I'm enjoying the hell out of this Friday. I don't know. Maybe it's because the weekend's starting. Maybe we got a promise of some nice weather. Joseph Pecky, Democratic strategist. Tracy Johnson, occasional host, filling for me and other shows in the lineup. She's a CEO, CarW in Milwaukee, and a mom. And getting a lot of love on the text line, by the way. So
thank you. It's the Stanley. It's because I have a Stanley finally.
Are you branding now? Is that what we're doing here?
Well, we talked about it for like 2 months. And
Tracy
now...
trying to
SponCon.
Yeah,
it's the way of the future.
Joe got clean your glasses. That's what Joe
took them off.
I'm looking for an endorsement deal. That's what's happening here.
All right, quickly. The president actually got in a little bit sparring match on the border. The deal that was almost done, crafted by both Democrats and Republicans, abandoned. The president last night alluded to the fact that former President Donald Trump made some calls, knocked it down, said we're not doing this. Let's see what happens in a year. I want your opinion first.
Well, Congress passed it. Senate did not move it forward. I go back to the idea that
House passed it, Senate did move forward.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Did I screw that up? Joe Biden has
and that
all
was
the tools.
Their version of it. I'm sorry.
Joe Biden has all the tools to crack down on the border right now
true?
And solve this.
Is that true?
I mean, I think throwing more money at it, which is basically what he's asking for, does not make him any stronger. He has the tools to make this better. He can sign executive orders on everything else. He can get rid of student debt. He can get rid of all these other programs and plans. Crack down on the border. If you want to talk about really doing something, maybe he should have talked about an executive order in that regard.
Maybe he should have taken it seriously 3 years ago. That'd be my point on that.
Well, one of the challenges with the executive orders is former President Trump tried a lot of them, and a lot of them didn't withstand scrutiny in the courts. You need more resources to hire more border agents, hire more judges to process asylum claims. I thought the president did a pretty nice job of saying, listen, this can't take 6 years to process a claim. If it takes 6 weeks or 6 months, it is less likely that folks will abuse that or try to abuse that and come here anyways. And the sparring, I agree. I liked it. The camera cut to conservative Oklahoma senator, as far right as they come, Jim Lankford, who negotiated the strongest border security bill in American history. And as Biden is talking, it cuts to Lankford, and he's going, that's true.
He looked pissed. Like sitting there. I saw that.
They could have got a deal. I mean, if you've been paying attention to our politics, you know Democrats walked away from Pathway to Citizenship and Dreamers in that deal. This is the first time they've ever done it. Republicans should have worked with him on it.
All right, we're going to talk some Katie Britt. She was the senator from, I think, Alabama, right? She young senator, like 42 or something like that. And first of all, she looked like she was 22.
Talk some more about how 42
I
is
love
so young.
that. Young, 40s.
Right. So her response, it's getting a lot of grief, although you asked me a great question before the show. I want you to ask that again after the break. And so we're going to talk a lot more things. We'll get to some of the Wisconsin stuff as well. My guest, Joseph Pecky, Tracy Johnson, are siding Unlimited News Time 9:30. How about some ABC News? That's next.
ABC News, I'm Sherry Preston. Delivering a fiery State of the Union address last night, President Biden used the occasion to position himself as continuing to counter Donald Trump heading into 2024. ABC News Deputy Political Director Avery Harper has more.
His campaign had been marking this speech as a new phase in the campaign for them. That's about defining the choice that Americans have now between Biden and Trump. And despite the fact that he never mentioned his name, I think it was very clear that Biden was trying to draw a contrast. And we saw this on a variety of issues. We saw this on defending democracy. We saw this on reproductive rights. We saw this on the economy.
The Republican response delivered by Alabama Senator Katie Britt.
The free world deserves better than a dithering and diminished leader.
5 months into the war, the people of Gaza are facing widespread hunger. Now a ship bearing humanitarian aid is making preparations to leave Cyprus. International donors launching a new sea corridor. This is ABC News. Citing Unlimited WTMJ News Time 9:31, a human trafficking investigation underway after a missing teen was rescued during a traffic stop near 21st and National last week on Milwaukee's South Side. 17-year-old girl who was listed as missing and endangered in the backseat of the car. A 36-year-old man arrested by Milwaukee County Sheriff's deputies and booked for child enticement and sexual intercourse with a child. A 29-year-old woman with them arrested on unrelated outstanding warrants. A ban on food trucks approved by the Milwaukee Common Council last month goes into effect a week from tomorrow, Saturday, March 16th. Sales of food, clothing, and other items from parked vehicles on both sides of Capitol Drive from 76th Street west to the city limits prohibited. The big cheese once again hails from Switzerland. A Hornbacher cheese made by Michael Speicher of Mountain Dairy Fritzenhaus in Bern has been named the best cheese at the World Championship Cheese Contest in Madison. Third straight year, a Speicher cheese has taken home the top honor. Meanwhile, Wisconsin cheeses held their own. Badger State cheesemakers won 39 of 142 categories. Two were included among the 20 finalists: Schumann Cheese's Lake Country Dairy in Turtle Lake and Henning Cheese in Kiel. Time for news about your money. The WTMJ Annex Wealth Management Market Update. The Dow is up 60 points. The Nasdaq is up 155. The S&P 500 is up 26. Annex Comprehensive Wealth, Annex Private Client, Annex Ignite. Financial planning at every level. Details at annexwealth.com. Taking a look at your roads now with your WTMJ Johnson & Sons Paving Time Saver traffic. We're going to call it Friday light. No major problems out there. 94 eastbound from Highway 16 to the Zoo. Typical 10-minute drive. The Zoo to the Marquette Interchange running about 6. And 43 southbound from Brown Deer Road to the Marquette Interchange, about a 13-minute commute this morning. Here's your Storm Team 4 5-day forecast. Rainy, breezy today, a high of 43. That rain should end tonight, maybe a mix north of Milwaukee. Overnight low of 34, partly to mostly cloudy tomorrow, maybe some flurries in the afternoon. Still breezy, high 42. Sunny, windy Sunday, a high 46. Warmer on Monday, sunshine, high 56. Then partly cloudy Tuesday with a high all the way up to 62. Madison at 41, Green Bay 40, Milwaukee 41 degrees. I'm Connie Weber, citing Unlimited WTMJ News Time 9:33.
Without the ones like you, who work tirelessly to keep things running, everything would suddenly stop. Hospitals, factories, schools, and power plants, they all depend on you. No matter the weather, emergency, or time of day, you're the ones who get it done. At Grainger, we're here for you with professional-grade industrial supplies. Count on real-time product availability and fast delivery. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
If you only have a 401k, you're not getting the most for retirement.
Wait, what?
Add a Robinhood IRA on top, then they'll boost it by 3%.
You can do that?
And if you transfer in any retirement account, you get 3% on top of that.
Is there a limit to the match?
No limit. Robinhood Gold gets you the biggest contribution match of any IRA on the market. Sign up for Robinhood Gold at Robinhood.com/boost by April 30th. Subscription fees apply.
Investing involves risk. 3% match requires gold for 1 year from first match. Must keep IRA for 5 years. Match on transfers subject to additional terms and conditions. Robinhood Financial LLC, member SIPC.
Get a jump start on spring when Yater Benyamini conducts the Milwaukee Symphony Orchestra in a jubilant program of works by Ravel, Bernstein, and Gershwin, March 8th through the 10th at the Bradley Symphony Center. George Lee will be the soloist in Ravel's strident and jazzy piano concerto in G. Plus, you'll also hear music by two American icons, Leonard Bernstein's 3 dance episodes from On the Town and Gershwin's An American in Paris. Rounding out the program are Ravel's sophisticated and charming, noble and sentimental waltzes. Hear the MSO in Bernstein and Gershwin, March 8th through the 10th only at the Bradley Symphony Center. Call for tickets, 414-291-7605, or visit mso.org.
One half of the regular team is here, but don't worry, we got Tracy Johnson filling in for Bill McCoshen. Welcome, everybody. Thanks for finding us on this Friday. If you don't know, the Political Power Hour, easy for me to say, 9 to 10, Monday through Friday on WTMJ, and Friday's typically our strategist. Now, Tracy's a CEO, and Joe is a Democratic strategist, and Bill is certainly that on the right side. But it's a look at politics in depth. We don't just sugarcoat. We don't,
And respectful conversation.
Yeah, civil, honest dialogue and discourse. That's kind of what we pride ourselves on. I do that all week with whether it's journalists or legal scholars. That's kind of the thing of the show. Anyway, Katie Britt delivers the Republican response. Senator from Alabama, 42 years old. You mentioned it earlier. Kitchen table is sort of the theme. Although I heard it's a fake kitchen and it wasn't her kitchen, and she got blown up by Republicans in her response. They said it was too just wishy-washy, and they should have attacked Biden. She should have attacked Biden more. What did you see?
Well, I saw a lot of commentary about her delivery, not necessarily the content. And my question to you earlier was, if that would have been on the radio, do you think people would have had the same response?
No.
She had to deliver these kind of harsh comments about how poorly the economy is doing and how tough it is to be a working mother trying to keep it all together. And she did it with a smile. And I think not all people liked that, and they found it to be kind of fake and cringy. I personally was watching it, and as a mom, I thought, this is an audience. She's speaking to an audience that usually doesn't get a lot of attention. Pro-life women who believe that the economy is broken, that it is very difficult to balance all of the balls in today's economy. But also, she did mention that there has to be some sort of compromise on abortion in order for all the other conservative ideals to even move forward. This is going to be the issue that we need to resolve and address head on.
I think Nikki Haley said that brilliantly during the campaign.
She did, and I think that's one of the reasons that she sailed through. I think she got out a little too late, but that's just my opinion.
It was very smart for Republicans to put Senator Britt front and center. And let's be clear, that is the hardest job in American politics. It's a thankless
It's
almost
job.
a no-win situation.
Right.
And putting a young, attractive, smart woman front and center was really, really smart politics. You just can't deny the reality. Republicans have been getting killed among women voters, among suburban women, among women with college degrees. Those are all demographic groups that during the Trump years have gone away from Republicans and moved towards Democrats. And so I totally understand this theory of the case and the strategy. And was the delivery perfect? No. I thought it was better and probably more likely to resonate than a lot of Democrats did. I texted Bill and Steve last night. I said, if she's not captured by the MAGA wing of the Republican Party, she is going to be a real problem politically for Democrats in the future.
Either of you think she could be, I kind of know the answer to this, Donald Trump's vice presidential pick?
No.
Why?
I just think she was, it had nothing to do with last night. I don't think that was the test run by any means.
I mean, he's got so much sway and so much power. He might have said, I want her to do it. Maybe I'll consider her.
I wasn't thinking that for 1 second.
It's not going to be her. And the optics aside, Republicans still have a problem due to the Dobbs decision this Alabama mess over IVF is a problem, where you now have Republicans racing to microphones to say, no, we didn't mean IVF. We support IVF. And then when Tammy Duckworth, a Democratic senator from Illinois, goes to the floor of the Senate and says, okay, let's pass federal legislation protecting IVF, Senate Republicans block it. That's a problem.
That's an interesting issue because it doesn't break down. And there are Republican conservative women who say, I defend IVF.
Yeah.
So it's not a political easy one.
And you've got Mike Johnson going out there and saying, wow, this is new technology. It's only been around since the early 70s.
Oh.
Mike, are you hearing yourself?
I just wish it wasn't on the table. I swear.
It shouldn't be. Right.
I just the abortion issue as the number one issue as a woman, and I know I'm going to get hate for this, but it bothers me so much that this is the only issue that Democrats think women are capable of caring about.
Well, we know this. Abortion's always been a hot button issue in this country for decades. And that's not going to go away because women who supported their abortion rights, Roe v. Wade, are angry about that. And that's driven turnouts and different results than a lot of us expected in the 2022 race and maybe even 2024.
And I would take a little bit of issue. No Democrat is suggesting that it's only abortion that women care about. I thought there were other moments in the speech last night that resonated for all parents. When Joe Biden talks about sitting with the parents in Uvalde who lost their kids in a school shooting, and he is able to say that person after person had one simple message: do something. That resonates because every parent is terrified almost every time their kids walk out the door that they're going to lose them.
All right, let's wrap up the State of the Union. Did Joe Biden help himself last night, Tracy?
Not with me, but I think
no mind was changed.
No mind was changed here. I think people are pretty baked in. I don't think a lot of even watched that.
That's actually what I should have. Did he change any independents' minds last night? I think he might have. I think he might have.
The dial groups looked good.
Explain to folks what that means.
So they put Republicans and independents and Democrats, and they put a dial in their hand, and they make them watch it. So there are Trump voters and Biden voters and people who go back and forth, and the dial groups looked good for Joe Biden last night, and he benefited from the soft bigotry of low expectations and a Republican Party that has tried to convince the American people this guy can't string two sentences together.
All right, after the break, Tracy Johnson, Joseph Pecky. Are we ever getting our tax surplus dollars back in our accounts? God, I just talked to the governor about 2 weeks ago about this, and we're still here with nothing. Am I complaining? Yes, I am. Quick break.
Make it a real Mad March with a playoff payout at Potawatomi. Every week you could score your share of $100,000 in cash and free play. Play this March for drawing entries. Win each Thursday. Plus, the prizes refresh every week for even more winners. The playoff payout at Potawatomi, Milwaukee. It's anyone's game. For more details, visit paysbig.com/payout. Must be 21 and a club member to play.
Hey, this is WTMJ Steve Scaffidi for Adair Floors and Remodeling. Why am I bringing it up? Because I was a customer before I was a spokesperson. They redid our basement landing area. It looks fantastic. Went from the kind of the old linoleum, 25 years old at least, to sort of a wood plank look, made for basements, waterproof. It looks sensational. We work with their design team. They said, this is what you should do. And you know what? They were right. And there's pictures on my social media if you want to see what I'm talking about. 65 years in business means something. Whether it's home or your business, family owned and operated, right there in Franklin, South 27th Street. If you're driving down 94, south of Rawson Avenue, north of Highway 100, which is also Ryan Road, stop in and tell them Scaffidi sent you, or visit them online, Adair, Adair floors.com.
Our mission is to protect and uphold our reputation. At Semper Fi, it's the banner we all march under, because the reputation we earn and uphold belongs to all of us. And without a strong reputation in the exterior remodeling business, you're here today and gone tomorrow. And when you've earned a good reputation, that's what makes the difference in value. It's the little extra that you get for the price. And that assurance is actually what counts the most, because it means the good money you're spending with us is not going to go to waste. A roof you can rely on, with a warranty that has a backbone, Craftsman quality airtight window and door installations, brick and stone masonry that's clean and sharp, and new siding that's been known to stop traffic. And it's all backed by a team that over the last 20 years have put a lot of heart and soul into building a reputation that you can believe in. This is Brad Youngbluth with Semper Fi Roofing and Exteriors, your local, veteran-owned and operated exterior remodeling company.
We keep you safe, warm, and dry, Semper Fi.
referral offices and other business owners help local startups get on their feet on Project Pitch It. Watch it Saturday nights at 10:35 on WISN 12. One call, that's all.
Meet Alan, who was diagnosed with sleep apnea.
I was what they call a mouth breather, and I would breathe at night with my mouth open.
And for about 8 years, Alan struggled with a CPAP machine. And then
I saw the Advent commercial, and I thought, well, what do you got to lose? This machine is miserable.
For most people, CPAP machines are miserable, but a simple breathing triangle solution from Advent can be life-changing.
And it really was, to me, it was amazing because I don't think I ever breathed that clear.
This is Dr. Madan Kandula. After having one of Advent's simple breathing triangle procedures, people are amazed at how freely and clearly they can breathe.
I'm happy with the procedure. I'm very glad I did it. I wish I would have done it 20 years ago. I could have avoided that machine I had to have laying next to the bed with the hose wrapped around my head.
Schedule your appointment at AdventKnows.com because Advent knows when you breathe well, you live better. AdventKnows.com. Results may vary.
Talking politics on a Friday, that's what we do here at Political Power Hour. Steve Scaffidi, yours truly. Tracy Johnson filling in for Bill McCoshen. If anybody could fill in for Bill, Tracy can. And Joe Zepecki, who's always here. He's probably like the diehard of the staff because McCoshen, he likes to do stuff. And you seem to always be here for me, and I appreciate that.
Not all of us can afford that lavish lifestyle that McCoshen can.
He's on assignment.
That's right.
Yeah, for the folks on the stream.
Golf trip on assignment.
All right. I'm starting with you, Joe. Democratic governor of the state of Wisconsin, Tony Evers. I had him on the phone a couple weeks ago, and we asked him about all the legislation that was handed to him about tax cuts and a break for seniors in Wisconsin, 65 plus, and some of the other measures that Republicans had passed for him. They clarified that middle class. We got a big surplus. What is it, $3 or $4 billion?
$3 billion.
Yeah, $3 billion. I've asked him over and over again, when are we getting some of that back? I asked him, how do you define middle class? I was encouraged by that, he actually raised it over $100,000, which is something I had never heard him say. And then it comes time to sign in. He doesn't do any of that. He just signs the child care tax credit, which I guess is something for people that have children, and it is important. I'm not saying it's not. When are we getting our tax money back that they've held on to for years now?
Well, it sounds like we're not because Republicans have decided the legislature is basically done for the year.
But they did their work already.
And you and I have talked about this. Bill and I have talked about this. The treating people who make, what is it, $40,000 and $190,000 the same in the tax code does not make sense. The governor's explanation for this is pretty straightforward. This tax cut might feel great in the short term, and in the long term, it would be bad for the state. And within 5 years, we would be back to deficits. It's the governor's job to look long term. Republicans always talk about wanting to be fiscally responsible. And if you run up the credit card now, that bill does come due.
Here's what chaps me about this. So he does
Just
this.
one thing?
I got a few too.
He does this, holds on to the surplus, and then he can make these claims in his commercials, his campaign ads that, we've got a surplus. When, let's be honest, a lot of the heavy lifting is done by the legislature.
Oh, now you think three-term Tony is running again, huh?
Well, it sounds like it.
Well, what's disappointing to me is that the legislature cut these 4 bills. This was originally one package, and the governor vetoed this 2 times, right? There were 4 different bills, and it was sliced up into 4 different sections that included tax break for retirees, also changing the low and middle income brackets, and then this child care tax credit. This tax credit, if you look at the details, this impacts potentially about 100,000 people. And I mean, frankly, they're going to have to hire people to help taxpayers figure out how to claim this money. A tax credit is not like giving a break like the other 2 bills would have presented.
There's
and
some paperwork involved.
Yeah, and it's not so clear cut and easy. For example, I won't benefit from it. I have a 10 and a 13-year-old. I've figured this out. I'm probably not going to be able to claim this. But the other tax cuts would have impacted millions of people. It would have impacted way more people. Also, it would have been a message to people who want to leave the state that they should stay here and spend money here, which I think is a net positive, and he should have signed those bills or given them greater consideration.
So are we going to see anything happen? The legislature shut down, so nothing.
They're not coming back until after November.
So that surplus is going to sit there.
But I think they should go after it again. Let's find a way. Let's address the concerns. And that's what, when you listen to Robin Voss and Devin LeMahieu, I mean, they were trying to come up with a solution to address the governor's concerns. And he just did not sign it. It's so disappointing.
I think they made it easy for the governor. He could have done one of those three that he vetoed. I think he could have done at least one, and one of those. The easy one would have been for seniors.
For the seniors.
I was genuinely surprised he didn't sign the seniors one.
That blew me away. I mean, come on.
They're all moving away anyway.
And let's not act like there's not other issues at play here, right? 136 school districts across the state of Wisconsin have to go to voters to ask for higher revenue limits this year because the education funding system in this state is broken. There are other things we have to do as a state for our long-term growth and attractiveness to families and businesses.
All right, after the break, Tracy and Joe, the grab bag. We'll see what's on their minds. I may even have one. We'll get to that after this on WTMJ, Political Power Hour.
Hey, WTMJ's John Mercure here for Experience Wisconsin. Join me every Saturday at 1 for the big show, where we check in with communities and people across the state for the best and brightest fun things to do indoors and outdoors in Wisconsin. This week we are joined by Stephanie Collette from one of my favorite places, Lake Geneva, and a celebrity interview with WTMJ's Julia Fellow. It's Experience Wisconsin, Saturday at 1 right here on 620 WTMJ.
Hey, this is WTMJ's Steve Scaffidi for Universal Windows Direct. If you've been cold in your own home, you don't have to suffer through one more night in a cold and drafty house. Call my guys at Universal Windows Direct. Super spacer technology. Remember that term. It keeps the edge of the glass warmer, holds the window seal longer. Why does that matter? It makes the windows, your windows, last up to 5 times longer than other window systems. So your windows from Universal perform better, last longer. Plus, they back it all up with a true lifetime warranty. Get this. As long as you own your home, and 30 years for the next homeowner. Tell them I told you to call. How about an additional $250 off your project for the last windows you'll ever need? Do what I do. UniversalWindowsDirect.com. Like me, you'll be saying, I love my windows.
It's Blaze Farm and Fleet's Rewards Members Spring Early Bird Event. Now through March 20th, we're showing extra appreciation to our rewards members with exclusive members-only deals. Like buy 3 tires, get 1 free. Rewards members get an extra $25 instant savings and up to a $100 consumer rebate when you buy 4 Cooper tires. 20% off Milwaukee tape measures. And new Blaine's brand all-season wiper fluid, $2.49 a gallon. Shop unbeatable rewards member deals and more for just a limited time in-store or online at farmandfleet.com.
Annex Wealth Management, investment, retirement, tax, and estate planning from a fee-only fiduciary. Forgive commission sales pitches and financial products you don't need. Know the difference. Annex provides elite, comprehensive financial planning customized to who you are and what you need. AnnexWealth.com.
St. Vincent de Paul, Milwaukee has expanded into our new 76th and Bradley Road location, where thrifters will find hundreds of bargains on everything, from clothing to furniture, electronics, home goods, and more. Our inventory is always changing, and new deals pop up every day. We're accepting donations too at our convenient drive-through donation area. Help us help others. St. Vincent de Paul at 76th and Bradley Road in Milwaukee is now open.
Ooh, you're gonna love it, St. Vincent de Paul.
It's David Nason, your personal inspection pro from WTMJ's The Fix-It Show. I'm with my go-to basement repair guy, Chris Mancuso of Accurate Basement Repair. This is the team I personally recommend for leaky or cracked basements.
Wow, thanks, David. Our team at Accurate Basement Repair has been fixing leaky and cracked basements for the Fix-It listeners for over 20 years.
That's great, Chris. For more information about how to schedule a free inspection and estimate, check out AccurateBasementRepair.com, because they're not just good, they're accurate.
Discover wants everyone to feel special with 24/7 customer service as well as $0 fraud liability, which means you're never held responsible for unauthorized purchases. Learn more at discover.com/creditcard. Limitations apply.
WTMJ, W277CV, and WKTI HD2 Milwaukee from the Annex Wealth Management Studios. This is News Radio WTMJ, a Good Karma brand station.
You watched the stream, and thanks for doing that. I was just gesturing wildly because I was upset about something, but I'm good now. Joseph Pecky, Democratic strategist, Tracy Johnson, occasional host, also a CEO of CarW, real estate organization. All right, who said they were going first on Grab Bag?
I'll go first.
Right.
We didn't get a chance to get to it, but this week, Jim Trupis and Ken Cheesebro, 2 of the lawyers at the center of the Trump conspiracy to overturn the 2020 election, reached a settlement in the lawsuit against them for their involvement with the fake electors. And as a part of the terms of their settlement, they had to unveil tens of thousands of texts and emails, and they raise a lot of very serious questions that I believe Senator Ron Johnson needs to answer for the people of Wisconsin. We have known that on the morning of January 6th, that he was sort of the focus of trying to hand those fake elector documents to Vice President Pence. In these emails released this week, we see that as early as December 7th, Troupis was communicating with Senator Johnson about the January 6th plot. We see that ahead of Senator Johnson's hearing, which was held on, I believe, December 20th, 2020, so after the Electoral College had met, he was offering edits to the testimony of Troupis before his committee. Those facts are not consistent with the story that Ron Johnson has been telling the people of Wisconsin about what he knew and when he knew it. He ought to offer a more fulsome explanation to the people about what he knew and when he knew it.
I don't disagree with you on that point, but I had two legal experts on yesterday, and they said they don't see criminal activity here.
And I'm not suggesting criminal activity either, but I think he ought to be more candid than he has been with the people of Wisconsin.
Agreed. Tracy.
Yeah, that was a great interview, by the way, on the podcast. Yes, I watched it. So my grab bag is about the MPS property tax referendum. So this is going to be on the ballot for April 2nd, and City of Milwaukee voters will have the opportunity to increase their taxes by $2.16 per thousand. So on an average $200,000 home, this would be around $435. I think that we're starting to see more education and advocacy to inform the voters on what voting yes on that referendum actually means. There's no question that kids in our city need to have funding, but they just passed an $87 million referendum in 2020, and nothing has changed. And now MPS and the teachers union is going back to the voters and saying, we need more. It's never enough. And they've changed nothing. And so we're starting to see advocacy around informing the voters, because right now they're not being educated on what the impact will be.
Big decision to be made in April. Mine is personal. My mother-in-law, Diane, gave us a health scare this week. Good news is she got through all of that. She went back home yesterday. She's doing great. And I just want to say, if she's listening, I know she tunes in on Friday, we love you and we want you to continue to improve. And her face seemed so much better on Thursday or Wednesday when I was there, Wednesday. And I was so happy to see that, because she gave us a scare. So, Diane, love the fact that you're feeling better. All right,
love
Tracy, Joe Zepecki, I'll see you in a while. Joe, we'll see you next week. Bill McCoshen will be back. Political Power Hour right here on WTMJ.
This is a story about how Walker Media Agency even makes rivets exciting. Vince Vitrano here. When you work with Matt Walker and his team, they get your